Welcome back to the Sports We Built podcast. My name is Nolan, and this is my friend Morgan. And this is a show where we go one level deeper. It's a show that people are building the future of sports, and we talk about the systems underneath those symptoms and discuss what we're working on, what other people are working on, and seeing how it all plays together. And this is episode 4, and I think we're starting to find a rhythm now. Morgan, how are you?
I'm good. Busy. It's been a wild week.
It has been a wild week, and I think that is where we decided
And it's
to
only
go.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yes, we're recording this on Tuesday, August 11th. You had a video go pretty good traction that we'll get into. We've got a quote that you and I discussed for a little bit that I think is relevant to the things that we're working on. And last week, we covered Legends baseball out of California. They've been around for a while, had a really cool, innovative idea that caught some traction during COVID when numbers were down. And it's some things that I think we might be incorporating in the fall baseball experience that we're putting on here locally in Clinton, Illinois. And Morgan, you're working on something that is a much larger, more monumental type of effort that we discussed in episode 2. And I think our friends, our growing audience of supporters need to hear about. And so I'm going to kind of put you on the spot because they need to hear it. I've heard some of it, right? Like off camera, before we press record, checking in on you. Hey, how's it going? And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to repeat it because it's not for me to repeat, but we're going to hear from you later. But tell us like where you guys are at in reference to the season and kind of some of the steps that you've taken so far.
Yep. Our practices will start this week. So we are like full blown into it. We had our skills day so we could try to make teams even and get everything situated. It's just been
what does
a
that
lot
look
of
like? Like when
skills
you
day.
say skills day, yeah. So like just for those who are just tuning in, if you didn't go back to episode 2, Morgan volunteered as tribute to become the president of the Lake Shore Youth Athletic Association.
Yep.
LYAA. It is a collaborative effort for the fall, for fall baseball. And she's just now getting into it. So there's other sports that she covers too, that as we get closer to those sports seasons, we can hear more about it. You also coach at your local volleyball club, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. But so you're stepping into this presidential role. A lot of decisions are falling on you. You're working on revamping the board and having trusted people around you while at the same time trying to navigate all the adult volunteers and get them in. So like, I think some expectations that would be helpful for us to, I don't know, I can mention up front or just as an encouragement to you is year 1 is really just trying to get through it, because anything when it comes to organizational change takes time.
Yeah.
And we've discussed some of those things. But I think when we're discussing your first year fall sports, you're starting to talk about where you are in the season and the skills day, because this is a conversation that comes up. How do we split kids in athletic associations, city leagues, little league, that sort of thing? And I told you about some experiences I had, but you had a skills day. Can you tell, for those who would have no idea what that is, what was covered, how it was ran?
Yeah, we invited all of the kids out by there's 8U, 10U, so on, to come at a similar time by their age. And we just put them through some drills. So they did batting and hitting and fielding and pitching, throwing.
How many adults did you have helping out?
5.
Okay, that's good. And just for clarity, I did not give Morgan any of these questions ahead of time. So when she's thinking about it, it's because she had 0 time to prepare.
Get questions ahead of time, even though that's something I would love, but here we are.
I thought it was relevant for the fact that, we're both building the plane as it's going off the cliff, even though you're more of a preparer than I am.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
just do things and then figure it out as I
Well,
go.
yeah, so am
And I
I.
almost sent you something. I almost sent you something today. It was a meme from The Hangover where Bradley Cooper's character calls, his wife or something and says they really effed up. But the meme was when we sign up for fall ball, this activity and volunteer for this thing. And it's Bradley Cooper going, I think we really messed up. I
Yeah.
almost sent it to you, but I know you're feeling that way. And a lot of people feel that way, especially in overlapping seasons.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
do you have kids navigating that with fall ball?
Do I have what?
Kids, like not you personally,
Oh,
but like, are you dealing with that in your rec league scheduling wise? Are there other activities that are going on that kids are signed up for, like multiple things?
I don't know, to be honest. I would assume so. We've only just started, so I don't know. My kids don't do they have like music class. But actually, we talked to Adeline yesterday about this because my youngest, she's going to do T-ball. She also does gymnastics. Her practices are going to be on the same night as her gymnastics. So we either need to choose a different night for gymnastics, or I gave her the option of like, maybe we pause this so you can focus on and try a few other things. But we're going to let her decide what she wants to do with that and kind of see how this goes.
Yeah, that's a real challenge many parents face, and is one that we face this fall as well. My oldest is going into 6th grade. They're eligible to participate in junior high sports. Our junior high is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And even then, our elementary school is 2nd grade through 5th grade. And then we have 2 other schools that handle kindergarten and 1st. But the 5th graders can even participate in some of the junior high sports based on Illinois elementary school athletic rules, or the IESA. And for him, he's playing tackle football, which is independent of the school. Practices are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for 2 hours a night until this upcoming Sunday. And then they go to 3 practices a week after that. So one, that's a lot. And then baseball practice started August 5th. And, he probably would have made it based on the 6th graders that made it. They took a lot of kids is really what it came down to. And they do like A and B. But, a fun fact about junior high baseball, in the state of Illinois, there's over 900 junior highs or just around that number, but less than half have baseball teams. And this is an issue in places like Texas. And, we're talking about systems that we could maybe highlight later is, there's a national organization that does middle school baseball tournaments for school teams in the fall.
Right.
And so sorry, I lost my train of thought. He did not try out for the baseball team. You can hear my kiddos? Yeah. We're dealing with that. Your kids go back to school tomorrow. My kids go back to school August 17th. So it cannot come soon enough.
I know.
But anyways,
it's hard.
All that to say, we had to have this conversation. This is becoming long-winded. It's not a good soundbite. But a lot of parents have to navigate how many hours a week their kids are putting into sports and more than one activity. And I've heard it said that there's a rule of thumb that a good standard to kind of like follow, or guideline to follow, is for every year that they're old. So I have an 11-year-old. That's about the amount of like above average or intense level of activity they should do every week. So 11 years old, 11 hours a week. If he were to do football and baseball, he would be at 12 hours just in 4 days. And that's not including.
I've heard that as a guide a lot. I've even shared it on my own platform, and I still feel like that's high.
Like
that's
1 hour.
A lot of hours per age. 11 hours a week for an 11-year-old is a lot.
7 hours of school, which includes physical education, a PE period where they're probably going crazy, recess.
Yeah.
2 hours of baseball and then 2 hours of football. So baseball would be 3 to 5, and then football's 5:30 to 7:30. And we said, it's up to you. And he's like, I don't want to have that kind of schedule.
Yeah, good.
And so we were like, thank goodness. But a lot of parents are facing that challenge.
Yeah, I get it. Especially, what if your kid had said you did want to do it? Like, you want to be supportive, but I think that's like, parents need to be the parents. Like, yes, take their input and make it a collaborative conversation, but you need to do it like you're the pilot of this plane and you need to be in charge and make decisions because you have more information and perspective to make the right call for your kids and family. And so they're so young. Like in this, like Adeline's 5.
Right.
She does not need to be doing multiple things. It's fine.
Will you alternate?
Just do one.
Or like she said she's doing gymnastics and t-ball. One of the choices sometimes that have to be made when there's conflicting times is if it's 2 days a week, you go to t-ball one day and gymnastics the other.
See.
But you're paying for both. So how would, as a league president or an association president and also a sports parent with a child in that league, how are you navigating and making those choices and priorities?
Yeah. With ours, Adeline has like the gymnastics, we have the option of moving to a different day. But she also has 2 older brothers who are also, I put everything in the calendar yesterday, Monday through Thursday. We are like booked practices. I also coach. Chris asked me yesterday, he's like, are you still you're going to coach? It's like, yeah, I really want to. I love it. It's such a joy for me. And
you do it because you love it, or you do it because there's a need, or both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have 3 kids. We're only 2 people. We have a lot of family around to help support and navigate logistics. But this is why I always think about, like, as a family, thinking about the amount of activities that you're going to opt into really needs to be a collaborative, like holistic view of that so that it works. And there's no right or wrong answer. Every family has a tolerance for different things. And in my case, I have volunteer hours, like time that I have to dedicate to getting those things done, which obviously affects the family. And then I also coach, which technically it's paid, but that's not even remotely close to why I would do it.
How many hours do you get?
Doing volleyball?
No, did you say volleyball or volunteering? You say you got volunteer hours?
Well, like or doing stuff for the league. Like I've opted into that activity. I've taken on this position and I have a responsibility now. And that's I have to dedicate time to doing that. Or being at Skills Day, which my kids are playing. So obviously they're there anyway. But, if there was other events or things happening in the league that I need to be at, that's part of like our family's commitments is me doing this.
I was also listening, I guess, also like from an employer standpoint. So it's at least somewhat common. So I live in Central Illinois, the home State Farm, insurance, country, financial. There's Growmark. There's different level of organizations that offer paid time off for volunteering activities. So
I see.
When you mentioned that, I thought, like, does your employer give you, because that's something too that is a system that we can explore, is should employers, I'm asking this rhetorically, not for us to discuss, but, as we think through volunteerism and coaching availability, can we help free up some time for parents to get paid by their employer, to do that? So yeah, family commitment. You have 2 other children. Are they involved with any particular sport during this season?
They're both playing. So I have a T-baller, an 8U, and a 10U in the league that I oversee. So 1 in each grade. And we moved our 12U to a different league because we were the only complete team. There wasn't going to be enough other teams for them to have a full season.
Which is, fall is always hard. How do your fall numbers based on your knowledge? I know you just took over how your fall numbers compare to your spring numbers?
It gets like significantly less. Probably.
Does that make it more challenging, less challenging?
I'm kind of glad it's a smaller group as this first season that I'm getting into it. There's just logistically, I've shared with you, like a lot of moving pieces of figuring out the system, like the technology systems, getting the right information, figuring out like how I can communicate that differently ahead of time so that we're getting things in the right place efficiently. It's not been the case so far.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit off camera, and I really want to hear,
Nolan,
like, what you really think about everything that you've done so far. Because again, like I mentioned up front, you had a video that like gained some traction on the socials where you were actively working on something. And like there was a sense of overwhelming. I need you have a free space here. I need you, I'm going to tee it up for you. I want you to express your pure, unadulterated feelings and go.
it's not that it's it's frustrating and
We're
challenging.
cutting this all out, so go ahead.
Because it's so fucking disorganized.
1 hour later.
The systems that are in place now are not conducive to like scaling and building anything. And it's just really hard.
A couple different things. One, I'm glad you said all that, and you probably use a lot more colorful language than I thought you were going to use. I'm just kidding. She did not, but we didn't. Here's the thing. If you've ever been cut off while driving, you probably felt frustrated. I have been cut off before, felt frustrated. I'm like, why did this person do this to me? And it's not hard to take things personally. Some people have like really healthy perspective and they realize like the universe is largely impersonal. And, that person probably was not out to get you.
Sure.
But there's been those times where I accidentally cut somebody off, didn't realize it. Like I double checked, I did everything. And all of a sudden I hear, and then they're giving me, the one finger signal as they drive past me. And I go, I totally deserve that. But I feel so bad because I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that I think you're not alone, but it's hard because like we're in this together. We don't want to bus toss anybody. And it's hard. Like I think if we really were to think about it, we all lend to how systems break down or run sustainably. And, you're like, you mentioned some things technologically. So it's like, we wanted to have some fun with that clip, like just editing it out. No, Morgan did not say anything
but
that was
also bad. I think so, and I'm totally going to derail where you were going with that train of thought. So I apologize because this popped into my head and
We'll
that's
get
how I
back
work. I have an immense amount of support and resources at my disposal to help navigate this new changeover of league. Obviously, we're in this space and it's still been extremely challenging and I'm still figuring a lot of things out. And so I think about for somebody who's not sitting in this seat talking about youth sports every day, who has people that she could have conversations with at any time, then trying to navigate that is like be infinitely more difficult. Like it's just so much more complex and challenging than I think we've recognized or put things in place to make it easier for people.
Well, you just touched on something I think is really important. We don't know what we don't know. And so it ended up becoming like you knew it was going to be challenging. And we know, and we've talked about this first episode, a lot of people don't get involved in things for a number of different reasons. One, they know it's going to be challenging, but they don't know how challenging and they don't want to deal with it. They've been in this situation before, know how challenging it can be. It was worse than they expected, and they don't want to do it again. Right. And other people are like, I really do want to help, but I have a good sense of like time boundaries and I just wouldn't be able to be super helpful if I dedicated, so that's what keeps us stuck in many places in our local contexts. You have some people, and then it really just falls down to the person who's just like, I'll just do it. And then it falls on that individual personally, their professional experience, their level of maturity, their level of organization, their level of knowledge. So that makes it hard. And you operate in a certain way. I operate in a certain way. The volunteers that you're operating with, they're unique in how they approach things. And you're kind of you're encountering that right now, whereas it's like, man, I've put something really helpful in place, I think. But then like adoption has been a challenge. Behavioral change is a challenge. I think it's a big deal. Like, is there, do you think that there's a centralized way that you can navigate this whole process? Or is it on a spectrum where you're like, I've got this plan in place, but I'm just realized that like some people are never going to get in the same system as me?
I don't think that they're never, no one, I don't think that. I think in even the short time that I've been doing this, like hindsight's already so much more, like I would approach it different, but you don't, to your point, like you don't know what you don't know. Everyone who's doing this league with me now is their first time. My directors are brand new. And the previous director and the previous president are obviously trying to help us as much as they can and like make this smooth. But like, you just have to do it to learn it. It's like, to me, I think about, you talk about like teams that are like made it to the tournament, have like a different level of like seniority and understanding because it's not like the first time they're playing in the national tournament. They have like a higher level of probably expectations, but also just like comfortability of navigating that environment. Like a basketball team makes it to the playoffs and they've been there before. If you've been there before as a player, you just like do it better. Hopefully, right? It's not always the case, but like same thing here. Like if you've been through this once and you know what works, what doesn't work, you know what all the things that you need to know when you need to have that information, where it is, then you can set it up in the beginning in a way that's like a clear path for how we're going to approach this versus what's happening now is I'm like piecing this together as I'm getting more information or more things are coming up or, oh, we did, and so then it's trying to make a system out of something that I usually don't have a full view on is hard. As I was sitting at my desk trying to figure out how to make this better for everyone else and less time consuming, but
yeah, and
just kind of is what it is.
You mentioned that when I asked you about it. Why do you think, not that views or anything are important on social media, right? Like sometimes I think we conflate the level of influence that social media has. However, like you're probably listening to this on social media, right? And then, or found where the podcast is located. Why do you think that video resonated so much with so many people?
I think it shows like the reality of it's relatable. I think there's a lot of people that are feeling that way and having that same experience. And it's one of those things that I think like doesn't get talked about enough, or there's not enough recognition. Not that anybody is doing this for recognition. That would be the last reason you should ever sign up.
You don't want a field named after you? Shill
No.
Field.
No. Okay. But to have, again, for what I said earlier, to have people in this space who have been through it or understand or can appreciate the amount of work that's going into something is, like it feels good to be seen and to know that there's other people who are kind of in that struggle bus with you and that we're in it together. I think that was one of like the main reasons I wanted to create Positive Play Project in the beginning, was to create a community where like good things could be shared and challenges could be talked about in a safe space, and we could find solutions to some of the things that are going on. And I think that this recent post kind of just hits that like relatability struggle that a lot of people are facing.
Yeah. I know that it is harder for females in this space to gain trust, respect. And it's unfair.
It's not
but
just
I know
this
that,
space. It's just
like,
life in general.
In general, correct.
Yes.
Starting there,
The
specifying
sports
there, but
world.
knowing that
Yeah.
it is a common theme. And I grew up with 4 sisters and a mom, and it's a whole other familial dynamic that we don't have time to unpack here.
Sure.
However, I get it. Like, it gave me a different perspective being largely the only guy in the house for many years. And I'm grateful for that perspective. Like, my coaching career started off coaching female athletes. I just always felt like I connected well with females, and I have a lot of good guy friends. So I think that's helpful. And I think it helps me too, just to navigate life as a husband, as a father. Now I've got 2 sons, and I want to help them to navigate how they interact with people well, not just other boys, but girls,
Right.
and how they treat female teachers versus male teachers, female coaches versus male coaches. And, I think it's a challenge for all of us because we largely teach the things that we were taught growing up.
Right.
And it can be scary to learn new things as an adult. And then try to instill those things in our kids. There was a quote that I sent you from Dr. John, I think it's Delani. And it says, if I had to choose, I'd rather my kids fall in love with a sport than be great at it at a young age. I think that's something where a lot of parents, I'm just going to jump in first. I probably should have asked you, but I'm just going to jump in. When you read that or hear that quote, or when I do that, I think of how many parents are pouring hundreds and thousands of dollars every year into their kid to be great at 10 or 11. You get a lot of engagement from different people from Positive Play Project. That's both positive and negative. But, when you think about your athletic journey, were you raised in an environment, or in your mind, was it something that you were encouraged just to fall in love with it? Or were you pushed to be great? Or it was this, intrinsically you wanted to be great?
I think it was always a drive within me to be good. I say this very humbly. I was always I was an athletic kid. I had always been an athlete. And so sports kind of just came naturally to me. But it wasn't, and obviously, Dad, I love you. Don't, if you listen to this, we're okay. My dad was very hard on me with basketball specifically. And my dad will say, Morgan was a better basketball player than volleyball player. And obviously I went on to play volleyball. I did not go on to play basketball. But I think that part of that, put that pressure and pushing in basketball was probably why I made that choice. But I didn't necessarily feel at the ages that we're talking about, pressure to be great. I played so many different sports and didn't play any one year round until probably 8th or ninth grade, which was probably, so I don't, yeah. I 100% align with this. I would much rather, I just want my kids to try lots of things, enjoy that, have fun. I don't need my kid to be the best one out there. What does that mean? So what? You won the 4th grade LYA baseball championship. There's the video of you putting your trophies in your backpack because you're going to go.
They just went to the landfill today.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
I mean, kind of. Partially.
I kind of just assumed those were your kids, not that they were actually really
we
yours.
don't hand out trophies anymore. It's all these medals and rings.
Yes, they do. My kids have trophies in here.
I don't know. They just get medals and rings. You see all those pictures where they got their ring.
Yeah,
just huge.
Harrison did that. Yeah,
and I think those will be easier to store. I think it's smart.
For sure.
Trophies are awkward size. Some of them had bats. They were broken. I looked to recycle them.
From a very long time ago.
I will tell you, my health app said my biological age is 36. So I may be 40
This is
on
not
paper.
A comment on your biological age.
I have gray hair right here. So you have gray hair right there on your chin.
But
I can't see your gray hair on your chin. I hope that makes it into a clip. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
It's going to be great.
I mean, this is a complete sidebar. There's programs where you can donate or recycle your trophies. But then you have to pay and then pay for shipping to the organization for them to recycle it and then sell it.
Reuse.
Yeah, they'll replate it and sell it.
I see.
Yeah, so you can buy customized trophies from this company, and they're using. I mean, maybe.
I think that in theory that's great, but by the time you've shipped it and the carbon footprint of all of those things, it really.
Right. I'm I already pay for the landfill. So maybe it makes me a bad person in that regard. Whereas I'm not paying somebody to recycle it and then paying to have it shipped to them to recycle it. And then they're going to sell it. So, and maybe I misread it. My reading comprehension sometimes can be poor. So I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I kind of wanted to keep, I mean, this is just me. We kind of talked about it before, but I felt like this conversation could be a little bit shorter than our usual because we go a little bit longer, but I don't have a lot of other thoughts. I will tell you my update from Every Inning League. And if you're interested in learning more about what we're trying to do is everyinningleague.com. And we are trying to create something unique, and it is influenced by a number of different leagues of different levels, where we're just incorporating a number of different rules that I think can work for us. And, after doing the research on Legends, there's one aspect of their game that I already incorporated in practice a while ago. Sometimes when you have a baseball team of 12 kids, you can't go 9-on-9 in practice. Right. If you want to do any sort of scrimmage, so you have to go, 8 kids, 9 kids in the field with some kids batting. So then we would split teams up into smaller. But one of the working ideas right now is we are going to probably go with teams of 5. Even if we get 60 kids to sign up, go with 12 teams of 5 kids each.
Oh, you are going to do that?
I think so. I ran it by, the guys that I'm coaching with.
Yeah.
And we try to keep things honest and upfront. And, there wasn't any major pushback or whatever. Because when you say that if you play with teams of 5, you have 4 kids in the outfield, 1 kid catching, and then 5 kids in the infield, which includes a pitcher, even though we're using a pitching machine.
Right.
5 kids batting, and they still get 3 outs. That's probably going to be, they'll get more at bats in 3 innings than they would if it was 10-on-10 in 5 innings. You're probably going to get 2 or 3 at bats based on how the offense goes, but you're probably going to get at least 3 to 6 at bats in the 5v5 format, which is what the kids want anyways.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited you're doing that. I want to hear how it goes.
It is interesting to be scripting out a baseball game.
Sure.
So just a quick overview, if you do a 3-team format, they're 75 minutes long still, time limit, but they're only 3-inning games because you have a top, a middle, and a bottom. But in between each inning, there's an activity. So, between the top of the first and the middle of the first, you can do a race or a relay or something, or a game in between the middle and the bottom. You can do something that involves parents. And then in between innings, I think we're going to do like karaoke after the second
Nolan's
inning.
gonna sing.
Oh, of course. Eileen, come on, Eileen. We talked about those in episode 1. But yeah, we're on our way. I think registration wise, I think we're at 10. And we just opened up registration 4 days ago, August 7th, because it got past the summit. If you hadn't checked out, heycoachteam.com/summit, heycoachteam/summit, we had over 430 people sign up.
It was so good.
To get better, to grow as people, to grow as coaches, to grow as sports parents. And almost half, just under half of people tuned in. And some people bought replay tickets. Those are still available. But that was a big thing to build. And, as we look towards next year, but building a fall league now in our local context, and trying to offer something that is different. And
I think it's so cool.
Influenced by other people. And I think that's partly why I signed up to do this with you, was to explore all the different things that are out there. And as people are navigating their kids' sports journeys, I hope they find us. I hope they find value in what you and I talk about. I hope they find value in what we survey regarding the different things that people are doing. And, I think the challenge still exists. If you want to see change where you are, you're going to probably have to get involved sooner than later, and probably before your kids go through it. So I don't have many other thoughts. I want to encourage you to keep up the good work. That you've got friends that are going to help you. And Thanks. I think the kids are going to have a good experience, and adults will buy in. We can be stubborn. But that's how most of us are with change. Mm-hmm. So keep up the great work. Do you have any other things that you want to share?
Do you send out any communication about like expectations of behaviors and such at the beginning of the season to families and parents and coaches?
We do for our school-based stuff, like even the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade basketball, football, baseball, travel-wise. Our club, we kind of already have, like I share with them in the chat, like we don't have a parent meeting or anything. Like, hey, this is what I'm aiming for. And if you don't want to be a part of that, I totally understand. Like, I'm not going to take it personally. I think it's helpful to send that out in there. And I would keep it brief. And if you had, deeper questions, what do you think?
I've just been like thinking about that now. I am more anticipatory of issues coming up in our next sport season, because historically that's where we've seen them. But I do think it would be, there's a changeover of leadership. I want to introduce myself to everyone, and not that it's just coming from me per se, but that my vision for how this league will conduct itself and operate, and the expectations that will be had of people and families participating. I'm trying to figure out like the best way to navigate that and make it effective, but also clear. And is it even worth it?
Because people don't want to be told what to do.
Right.
So navigating that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes being able to back that up, like if you say, hey, like we're not going to be about that. And if we have to talk to you about that, we would 100% understand if you don't want to participate.
Right. But then
it'll become a whole thing, especially on the internet. Who knows how that gets handled? Screenshots galore.
That's fine. I like if you're, again, from like my HR, when I'm thinking about like from a business perspective in HR, like if you haven't set the expectation, it's hard to hold people accountable to it. Like clear expectations, like give people a chance to rise to it. But if I don't say it, It's just I'm assuming it that everyone's going to behave and this way, and then they don't, and I have to. Then we have to deal with that after. That's like a much more difficult conversation.
Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. Neil Strauss. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. So it's good. I like the idea of expectations.
Guiding that. Yeah. Just got to get through this week.
You can get through this week.
Up and running. Yeah.
And I think that whoever is doing yard work at your house is going to keep doing yard work, and it's a good signal for us to call it a show.
Sounds good.
Okay. See you next time.
Bye.